The shotgun blast echoed through the quiet suburbs of Elmwood, Ohio, like a thunderclap in a dream nobody wanted to wake from. Patrick froze on his front porch, coffee mug slipping from his fingers to shatter on the concrete, shards scattering like his racing thoughts. "Harlan," he whispered into the dawn mist, heart slamming against his ribs, as the metallic tang of gunpowder hung in the air from the old man's backyard. It wasn't suicide, God. No, not Harlan, the stoic Korean War vet who'd fixed leaky faucets for half the neighborhood with a grunt and a wink. But the recoil from that antique Remington had knocked the 58-year-old landlord flat on his ass in the dew-soaked grass. His flannel shirt torn open at the shoulder from wrestling a rabid raccoon that had been tearing up his wife's prized rosebushes. Evelyn was gone, off to her sister's in Cleveland for a week, leaving Harlan to man the fort, as he put it with that gravelly chuckle. Patrick, the 28-year-old graphic designer renting the carriage house out back, had heard the commotion through his thin walls, a guttural yell, the frantic scrabble of claws, then the boom that turned his blood to ice. He bolted across the dew-slick lawn, bare feet numb against the chill, vaulting the low picket fence that separated their lives like some half-assed Berlin Wall. Harlan lay there, propped against the garden shed, the shotgun limp in his lap, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead where the raccoon's teeth had grazed him before the shot scattered its mangy corpse into the azaleas. "Jesus, Harlan, you could have called me." Patrick's voice cracked as he dropped to his knees, hands hovering like he was afraid to touch the man who'd become more father figure than landlord over the past year. Harlan's steel-gray eyes, usually crinkled with dry Midwestern wit, were glassy with shock and something deeper, relief, maybe, or the kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying too much alone. "Didn't want to wake the dead, kid," he rasped, wincing as he shifted, his broad chest heaving under the ripped flannel. 58. Harlan was built like the oak trees lining Elmwood's Main Street. Solid, unyielding, with calloused hands that spoke of decades fixing engines and framing houses. But right then, sprawled in the mud with a dead varmint at his feet, he looked every bit the mortal man, vulnerable in a way that twisted something fierce in Patrick's gut. "Shut up and let me help," Patrick muttered, slinging Harlan's arm over his shoulder, ignoring the older man's half-hearted protest. The weight of him was heavy, reassuring muscle and bone earned from a life of hard labor, not gym selfies. They stumbled toward the back door of the Craftsman bungalow, the one Evelyn kept immaculate with doilies and framed photos of their 3 grown kids scattered across the heartland. Patrick eased Harlan onto the kitchen stool, the same one where they'd shared beers after Patrick fixed the Wi-Fi router last summer, Harlan grumbling about kids these days and their invisible wires. Blood smeared the Formica counter as Patrick rummaged for the first aid kit under the sink. Evelyn's emergency stash, stocked like Fort Knox with bandages and antiseptic that smelled like pine trees and regret. "Hold still, you stubborn mule," he said, dabbing the gash with gauze, his fingers brushing Harlan's salt and pepper stubble. Close, the older man smelled of gun oil, sweat, and the faint cedar of his aftershave, a scent that hit Patrick like a memory he didn't know he had. Harlan grunted, his hand coming up to grip Patrick's wrist. Not hard, but firm, like anchoring a lifeline. "Ain't nothin' a Band-Aid won't fix. That damn coon's been round since the wife left. Figured I'd handle it man-to-man." His voice was a low rumble, laced with that Ohio drawl that turned vowels soft and secrets hard. But his eyes lingered on Patrick's face a beat too long, tracing the curve of his jaw, the faint scar above his lip from a bar fight in college. Patrick felt it like a spark, that unspoken current that had simmered between them since the day he moved in. Late rent forgiven with a clap on the back. Late-night talks on the porch about Harlan's glory days in the Corps and Patrick's failed engagement to Sarah, the girl who'd bailed when he finally admitted he was gay. "You're bleeding like a stuck pig," Patrick shot back, tying off the bandage with more force than necessary, his pulse thundering in his ears. The kitchen clock ticked mercilessly, marking the seconds since Evelyn's Buick had pulled out of the driveway, her wave goodbye a fleeting shadow. With her gone, the house felt vast, empty, like a stage set for something inevitable. Harlan's thumb brushed the inside of Patrick's wrist, a ghost of a touch that sent heat coiling low in his belly. What if it had been worse? You could've what? Bled out in my own yard like some fool. Harlan's laugh was bitter, cut short by a hiss of pain. He released Patrick's hand, but the air between them thickened, charged with the residue of adrenaline and isolation. "Ev's been gone 3 days, and already I'm shootin' shadows. Marriage is a long damn road, kid. Sometimes you forget why you started driving it." Patrick swallowed, the words landing like bricks on his chest. He'd seen the cracks: Evelyn's bridge club gossiping about her midlife wanderings, Harlan's late shifts at the auto shop masking evenings at the VFW bar. But hearing it raw, from the man himself, cracked open something in Patrick he'd kept bolted shut. He poured coffee from the percolator, black and scalding, sliding a mug across the counter. "Then let's not shoot any more shadows today. You need stitches? I can drive you to the ER." Harlan shook his head, sipping slow, his gaze drifting to the window where the rising sun gilded the maple leaves. "Nah. Just need to sit. Company's better than pills." And so they did, two men in a sun-dappled kitchen, the world outside humming with leaf blowers and school buses, while inside, silence wove its web. Patrick talked to Philip about his latest freelance gig designing logos for a craft brewery in Columbus, the way the hops made his throat itch like forbidden desire. Harlan listened, nodding, his occasional "that's so?" pulling more from Patrick than he'd intended. Stories of growing up in foster homes, the ache of coming out at 25 to a family that scattered like buckshot. By noon, the bandage held, and Harlan insisted on repaying the favor with lunch. Grilled cheese on rye, the kind with tomato soup that evoked rainy Sundays and unspoken comforts. They ate at the scarred oak table, Harlan's knee brushing Patrick's under the tablecloth. An accident? The contact lingered, electric, until Harlan cleared his throat and pulled back. "You're a good egg, Pat. Don't know what I'd do without you rattling around out back." Patrick's cheeks burned, but he played it cool, stacking plates in the sink. "Just paying rent in good deeds. Besides, who else is gonna fix your router when it blue screens on Jeopardy night?" Laughter rumbled from Harlan, deep and genuine, easing the knot in Patrick's chest. But as the afternoon wore on, with Harlan dozing on the couch and Patrick tidying the kitchen, that knot reformed, tighter, insistent. Evelyn's absence was a permission slip, the house breathing freer, and Patrick caught himself watching Harlan's chest rise and fall, the silver fox fur peeking from his collar, wondering what it would feel like to trace it with his fingers. Dusk crept in like a thief, painting the living room in bruised purples. Harlan stirred, rubbing his eyes. "Hell, I slept like the dead. You sticking around for dinner? Got steaks in the freezer, Ev's on her low-carb kick. So they're going to waste." Patrick hesitated at the door, keys jingling in his pocket. "Yeah. Why not?" It was a small surrender, but it felt like diving off a cliff. Exhilarating, terrifying. As Harlan fired up the grill on the back patio, the sizzle of meat mingling with cicada song, Patrick realized this was no ordinary evening. The raccoon was dead, the blood washed away, but something wilder had been unleashed, clawing at the edges of their carefully fenced lives. They ate under the string lights Evelyn had hung for 4th of July barbecues, the air thick with charcoal smoke and the faint buzz of unspoken truths. Harlan cracked open a couple of IPAs from the cooler, local brews Patrick had designed the labels for, a fact that made the older man beam like a proud dad. "See? My tenant's a damn artist. These bottles fly off shelves 'cause of you." His boot nudged Patrick's under the table again, deliberate this time, and Patrick's breath hitched, fork pausing mid-air. "Tell me about Korea," Patrick said, steering the conversation to safer waters, though his pulse betrayed him. Harlan leaned back, chair creaking, and spun tales of Incheon landings and foxholes under monsoon skies. Gritty, unfiltered, the kind of stories that stripped a man bare. In the telling, Harlan's hands gestured wide, veins prominent against tan skin, and Patrick imagined them on his own body, steadying, claiming. The beer loosened tongues. Harlan confessed the rot in his marriage. Evelyn's affairs with the golf pro, the way she'd stopped looking at him like he was more than a paycheck and a handyman. 35 years, and it's like we're roommates in a bad sitcom. She leaves for a week, and I feel free. Guilty as sin, but free. His voice dropped, eyes locking on Patrick's with an intensity that stole the air. "What about you? That girl. Sarah, what happened there? Really?" Patrick's throat tightened. The patio fan whirred overhead, stirring leaves like ghosts. "She was great. But I wasn't. I mean, she deserved the truth." He set his bottle down, fingers trembling slightly. "I'm gay, Harlan. Came out last year. Family went radio silent. Friends scattered. It's lonely as hell sometimes." The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. Harlan didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Instead, he reached across the table, his rough palm covering Patrick's hand, warm, unyielding. "Lonely's a bitch, kid. But you're not alone here. Not tonight." The touch lingered, thumb stroking once, twice, before withdrawing, leaving Patrick's skin aflame. They cleared the plates in companionable quiet, the dishwasher humming like a conspirator. Harlan poured whiskey, top-shelf stuff Evelyn saved for holidays, and they migrated to the den, a cozy cave of leather recliners and faded Braves posters from Harlan's Atlanta days. The game flickered on the TV, but neither watched, the score a distant murmur. Harlan sank into his chair, ice clinking in his glass. "Ever think about what life's for, Pat? All this grindin', shop, house, bills, and for what?" Patrick swirled his drink, the amber liquid catching firelight. "Beats me. Lately, it's just surviving. Designing crap for strangers, wondering if anyone's ever gonna see me. Really see me." The words tumbled out, raw and unpolished, fueled by bourbon and the man across from him. Harlan's gaze was steady, piercing. "I see you. Been seeing you since day one. That fire in your eyes, the way you don't back down from a blank canvas or a leaky roof. You're more than survivin', kid. You're buildin' something real." He paused, swallowing hard. Hell, if I was 30 years younger. The room tilted. Patrick's heart roared, drowning the TV announcer. If you were, the challenge hung there, bold, reckless. Harlan set his glass down with a thud, leaning forward, elbows on knees. His face, etched with laugh lines and worry furrows, softened in the lamplight. I'd ask you out proper. Dinner in the city, no pretenses. Show you the man I used to be, before life sanded off the edges. His voice was a whisper now, confessional. Truth is, I ain't straight as an arrow, Pat. Never was. Army days. Things happened. Buddies in the dark, no questions asked. Buried it deep when I came home, married Ev to fit the mold. But you stir it up. Make me remember what it feels like to want. Patrick's world narrowed to Harlan's face, the vulnerability cracking through that tough exterior like sunlight on frost. He crossed the room in 2 strides, dropping to one knee beside the recliner, hand on Harlan's thigh solid, warm through denim. Then don't bury it. Not with me. Their eyes locked, breaths mingling, and in that suspended moment, the unexpected turn unfurled. Harlan's fingers threading into Patrick's hair, pulling him close, lips crashing together in a kiss born of decades denied hunger. It was messy, urgent, whiskey-tanged and desperate, Harlan's stubble scraping Patrick's chin like sandpaper on silk. Hands roamed. Patrick's up Harlan's chest, unbuttoning flannel to trace scars from shrapnel and time. Harlan's gripping Patrick's waist, hauling him onto his lap with a growl that vibrated through them both. The recliner groaned in protest as they shifted, bodies aligning in a tangle of need, the TV's glow casting shadows that danced like forbidden lovers. God, Pat, Harlan murmured against his neck, teeth grazing collarbone. You taste like trouble I should have chased years ago. Patrick arched, gasping, fingers digging into broad shoulders, the world dissolving to heat and heartbeat. They moved to the couch, shedding shirts in a frenzy, skin on skin, Harlan's chest hair tickling, his mouth exploring with a reverence that belied his age. It was tender and fierce, a reclamation. Patrick's lips mapping the valleys of Harlan's abs, eliciting moans that echoed Patrick's own buried cries. But as climax crested, waves crashing in the dim den, a sliver of doubt pierced the haze. Evelyn's photo on the mantel, smiling eternally. Harlan sensed it, pulling Patrick close after, arms a fortress. This don't change nothin' tomorrow, he whispered, voice rough with afterglow. But tonight, it's ours. They lay entwined, breaths sinking, the house settling around them like a secret keeper. Patrick traced Harlan's knuckles, scarred from wrenches and wars. What now? He asked, fear threading hope. Harlan kissed his temple, slow and sure. Now, we figure it. One dawn at a time. Dawn broke over Elmwood like a hesitant promise, filtering through the den blinds in slats of gold that striped their bare skin. Patrick woke first, Harlan's arm heavy across his chest, the older man's snores a rhythmic rumble against his shoulder. For a heartbeat, it was perfect, cocooned in the scent of sweat and sandalwood, the ache in his muscles a sweet reminder of surrender. Then reality intruded, the mantel clock chiming 7, Evelyn's side of the bed untouched upstairs, but her presence everywhere in the knickknacks and the faint lavender of her soap lingering in the air. Patrick slipped free, careful not to wake him, pulling on his jeans from the floor. Harlan stirred anyway, gray eyes blinking open, soft with sleep and something perilously close to affection. "Mornin'. Trouble," he murmured, voice gravelly, extending a hand that Patrick took, letting himself be tugged back for a lazy kiss. Morning breath and all, real as the day ahead. "Coffee?" Patrick asked, stalling the inevitable. Harlan nodded, sitting up, the blanket pooling at his waist. "Black. And strong. Gonna need it after last night." His grin was boyish, chasing away the years, but as Patrick padded to the kitchen, he caught Harlan's gaze lingering in the hallway mirror, tracing the tattoos on Patrick's back. Ink from a rebellious phase, waves crashing over a lighthouse, symbolizing storms weathered alone. Over mugs at the table, the awkwardness crept in like fog off the Scioto River. Harlan drummed fingers on the laminate, eyes on his coffee. "Ev calls tonight. What do we say? Act like nothing happened?" The question hung, laced with the weight of a lifetime's compromises. Patrick's stomach twisted. "I don't know. Lie? Or tell her?" The words tasted like ash. Evelyn had been kind, baking pies for his birthday, slipping him extra garage space for his motorcycle. Betrayal soured the air, even as Harlan's foot nudged his under the table, a silent anchor. "Nah, not yet." Harlan's jaw set, that marine resolve kicking in. "This us, it's new. Fragile. Let's keep it ours a while longer." He reached across, thumbing Patrick's knuckles. "Go to work, kid. I'll fix the yard mess before the neighbors start yappin'." Patrick nodded, dressing in the carriage house with the door cracked, watching Harlan rake raccoon remains into a trash bag, broad back straining under a clean tee. The normalcy of it, Elmwood stirring with dog walkers and sprinklers, clashed with the bruise blooming on Patrick's neck, hidden by his collar. At his desk, sketching ad mock-ups for a Toledo car dealership, his mind wandered. Harlan's laugh lines deepening with a smile meant just for him, the way his hands, those capable, calloused hands, had mapped Patrick's body like uncharted territory. Lunch was a text, steak leftovers in the fridge. "Eat up." Simple, domestic, but it warmed Patrick like sunlight. He fired back a thumbs-up emoji, heart pounding at the casual intimacy. By evening, the shop kept Harlan late, oil change backlog from the harvest rush, and Patrick paced his rental, the space feeling cavernous without the bungalow's pull. He cooked pasta, nuked it half-heartedly, then wandered the yard, kicking at fireflies as dusk fell. Harlan's truck rumbled in at 9, headlights sweeping the drive like a spotlight. He emerged, grease-streaked and weary, but his step quickened at the sight of Patrick on the porch swing, 2 beers sweating on the rail. "Missed this," Harlan said, dropping beside him, the swing creaking under their combined weight. No preamble, just his shoulder against Patrick's, the quiet symphony of crickets and distant traffic on I-71. They talked baseball, Guardians' slim playoff hopes, then veered deeper. Harlan's regrets over not coming out in the 80s, the AIDS crisis that scared him silent, Patrick's therapy sessions post-breakup, unpacking the shame of wanting men who reminded him of absent dads. "You're braver than me, Pat," Harlan admitted, head on Patrick's shoulder. "I hid. You fight." The kiss that followed was slower, exploratory, tongues tracing apologies and affirmations under the stars. They made love on the swing, tentative at first, then fervent, Harlan's weight pinning Patrick to the cushions, gasps muffled against flannel. It was riskier here, exposed to prying eyes, but the thrill amplified every touch, every whispered "mine" that slipped from Harlan's lips. After, wrapped in a throw blanket, Harlan's phone buzzed. Evelyn. He tensed, screen glowing with her name. Shit. Answer it. Patrick nodded, slipping away to give space. From the shadows, he heard the rote check-in. Kids fine? Weather here's crap. Home tomorrow. Harlan's responses were clipped, affectionate on autopilot. When he hung up, his face was a mask, relief warring with guilt. She suspects nothing. But God, Pat, lying to her. It chews at me. Then don't, Patrick urged, pulling him close. We talked to her. Together. Harlan's laugh was hollow. You make it sound easy. 35 years ain't erased with a sit-down. The next days blurred into a stolen rhythm. Mornings with coffee and touches that lingered. Harlan's hand on Patrick's lower back as he fixed the toaster. Afternoons apart, Patrick freelancing while Harlan torqued bolts at the shop. Evenings tangled in the den, exploring each other with the voracity of the starved. They cooked, Harlan's chili, spicy as his confessions. Patrick's stir-fry, a nod to his Italian roots. Laughter filled the house, Evelyn's ghost fading to echoes. But cracks formed. Tuesday, a neighbor misses. Hargrove, the busybody with binoculars for eyes, waved too brightly over the fence. Harlan, dear, you and Patrick getting along swell? Saw you two grilling late last night. Her smile was saccharine, eyes sharp as shears. Harlan's arm around Patrick's waist stiffened. Like brothers, Marge. Nothing more. The words landed like slaps, and Patrick excused himself, gut churning. Inside, he stared at his reflection. Flushed, foolish, wondering if this was love or just a middle-aged man's midlife fling. Wednesday brought rain, sheets lashing the windows as they lay in Harlan's bed. Evelyn's side rumpled now, her pillow claimed. Harlan traced Patrick's spine, voice low. Ever think about leaving Elmwood? Chasing that big life in Chicago or something? Patrick propped on an elbow, rain drumming a counterpoint. Sometimes. But then. This. He gestured between them, the bed, the life unfurling. Feels like home. Harlan's eyes darkened. It is. For me, too. First time in years. They made love slow, rain-slick skin sliding, Harlan's murmurs of stay blending with thunder. But as they dozed, his phone lit up again. Not Evelyn, but a text from his son. Jake, Dad, Mom called. Said you're distant. Everything okay? Guilt coiled tighter. Thursday, Evelyn's return loomed like a storm front. Harlan withdrew, shop hours stretching, text curt, busy. Talk later. Patrick filled the void with work, but anxiety gnawed, design comps blurring as he replayed misses. Hargrove's smirk. Friday morning, Evelyn's Buick crunched gravel at noon, a day early. Patrick spotted it from his window, heart plummeting. She unloaded bags, calling Harlan's name, her laugh brittle as autumn leaves. He wasn't home, out on a parts run, and Patrick debated fleeing, but duty pinned him. Patrick, honey, you're a sight. Harlan around. In a bit, he managed, helping with groceries, her perfume cloying. Close, Evelyn was vibrant, 60 but fierce, with bobbed silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. "You two been keeping the place from falling apart?" "Something like that." His smile felt glued on. She paused at the den door, scenting the air. "Smells like chili." Harlan finally cooked. Her brow arched, and Patrick mumbled an excuse, escaping to his studio. Harlan returned at dusk, truck slamming brakes like punctuation. Patrick watched from the carriage house as Evelyn enveloped him in a hug, Harlan's body rigid. Dinner aromas wafted, her meatloaf, reclaiming territory. Patrick ate alone, pasta cold, scrolling X for distractions. Viral vids of Cleveland protests, nothing to numb the ache. Midnight found him on the porch, cigarette burning low, a vice resurrected. Headlights flashed, Harlan's truck peeling out, then braking hard. He emerged, face thunderous, striding over. "Ev's asleep. Said she missed me." Like nothing's changed. He paced, fists clenched. "I can't do this, Pat." "Pretend. Then don't." Patrick stubbed the smoke, standing. "Tell her." Harlan whirled, eyes wild. "And say what? Hey, hon, been banging the tenant? Ruin everything." His voice rose, cracking. "You ruined it when you kissed me back." Patrick shot, heat rising. "This isn't pretend, it's real." "Us." Harlan stopped, breath ragged, closing the gap. His hands framed Patrick's face, thumbs brushing tears Patrick hadn't noticed. "It is real. Terrifies me." The kiss was bruising, desperate. Harlan lifting him against the porch rail, legs wrapping instinctively. But voices carried, Evelyn's window glowed upstairs. Inside, Harlan growled, carrying him to the carriage house, door slamming. They collided on Patrick's bed, frantic, clothes shedding, bodies slamming in rhythm to pent-up fury. It was angry sex, reclaiming, Harlan's teeth on Patrick's shoulder, marking. "Mine," he panted, collapsing after, spent and shaking. They talked till dawn. Plans, fears. "I'll tell her tomorrow," Harlan vowed. "We face it together." But dawn brought betrayal's blade. Patrick woke to pounding. Evelyn at his door, face ashen, Harlan's phone in hand. "What the hell is this?" Texts, screenshots, Jake had forwarded Mrs. Hargrove's neighborhood chat, Harlan cozy with the renter boy. "Evelyn, you know?" Harlan burst in behind her, eyes pleading. "Ev, listen. You listen." She thrust the phone at him, voice shattering. "All those late nights, the distance." With him, her gaze flicked to Patrick, disgust and hurt warring. "I suspected the golf pro, but this, my husband and our tenant. It's not." Patrick started, but Evelyn cut him. "Save it. You're out. Both of you pack." She stormed to the truck, tears streaming. Harlan chased, pleading in the drive. "Ev, 30 years. I love you, but I love him too." "It's complicated. Complicated." She laughed, bitter. "You're a cliché, Harlan." Midlife crisis with a side of queer awakening. "Take your lies and go." Engine roared, tires spinning gravel as she fled. Not to Cleveland, but gone, bags forgotten. Harlan slumped against the truck, wrecked. Patrick pulled him inside, holding as sobs racked the big man, decades crumbling. "She'll come back," Patrick whispered, though doubt gnawed. Days bled into silence. Harlan drank. Shop shifts abandoned. Patrick worked remotely, tiptoeing around eggshells. Neighbors whispered, "Mrs. Hargrove's stare like acid." Jake called, disowning, "Dad, what the fuck?" Mom's at a motel, talking divorce. The climax shattered on a stormy Tuesday. Harlan, 3 sheets to the wind, confronted Patrick in the yard, rain lashing. "This your fault. Stirred it up. Now everything's ash." Patrick reeled, soaked. "My fault? You kissed me first. You wanted this. I wanted escape," Harlan roared, shoving him. "Not to blow my life." The slap echoed, Patrick's hand cracking across Harlan's cheek, shocking them both. "Fuck you. I'm not your regret." He stormed inside, locking the door, heart fracturing. Harlan pounded, then silence. Dawn found him gone. Truck vanished. Note on the counter, needed space. "Sorry, kid. You're better off." Patrick drove to the shop, closed. Sign flipped. VFW bar. Harlan hunched over whiskey, eyes hollow. "Go home, Pat. Ain't worth the mess." "You are." Patrick slid onto the stool, hand on his arm. "We both are." Harlan's laugh broke. Ev filed papers. "Kids won't speak." "What now?" "Together." Patrick pulled him into a hug, barflies averting eyes. "We rebuild." Human, messy real, weeks ground on. Harlan sobered. Therapy sessions in Columbus. Patrick designed a logo for a local LGBTQ center. Cathartic strokes. Evelyn sold the house. Fair split. No venom. Just weary emails. Heal. Both of you. Neighbors thawed. Mrs. Hargrove baking regret pies. One crisp October eve, under harvest moon, Harlan proposed, not rings, but partnership. "Move with me to the city? Start fresh. You and me. No fences." Patrick grinned, kissing him slow. "Yeah. Let's drive that road." They packed the truck. Elmwood shrinking in the rear view. Scars and all, but lighter. Love, human and hard won, steering them west. The highway unspooled west from Ohio like a vein pulsing with possibility. I-70 cutting through cornfields that whispered farewells in the wind. Patrick rode shotgun in Harlan's battered F-150, the cab redolent of pine air freshener and the faint musk of their mingled cologne, a scent that had become home. Harlan's hand rested on Patrick's thigh, thumb tracing lazy circles over denim, a silent vow amid the rumble of radials and classic rock crooning from the tape deck. Neil Young's Harvest Moon played low, ironic and apt, as the sun dipped blood orange behind them. "Think we'll miss it?" Harlan asked, voice gravel-soft, eyes on the road but mind adrift. Patrick glanced back. Elmwood a speck now, the bungalow sold to a young family with a minivan and dreams unscarred. The quiet? Yeah. The drama? Hell no. He covered Harlan's hand with his own, squeezing. Chicago's got noise enough for both of us. They'd chosen the Windy City on a whim. Harlan's cousin owned a garage in Pilsen, offering a mechanic's bay and a loft above. Patrick had freelance leads in the design scene, vibrant with queer energy. No more hiding behind picket fences. This was reinvention, raw and roaring. But doubt nipped at the edges. Harlan's nightmares, Waking slick with sweat from foxhole memories laced with fresh guilt. Patrick's sketches turning abstract, swirls of blue and gray mirroring the ache of lost normalcy. First week in the loft, a brick and beam space with exposed ducts and a view of murals splashed across freight trains. Tested them. Harlan cursed the urban grind, horns blaring like accusations, his grease-blackened hands fumbling takeout chopsticks. "Miss my chili," he'd grumble, but his eyes lit when Patrick draped a blanket over them on the sagging couch, pulling him close for episodes of Ted Lasso. Roy Kent's gruff heart a mirror to Harlan's own. Intimacy evolved. Too, less frantic, more mapped. Mornings found them tangled in sheets threadbare from thrift stores, Harlan's mouth lazy on Patrick's hip, eliciting shivers that built slow as dawn. "Love this," Harlan murmured once, face buried in Patrick's chest hair. "Waking up to you." "No rush, no lies," Patrick arched, fingers in silver strands, whispering back promises etched in sweat. But conflict simmered. Harlan's cousin, Mick, a burly Irish expat with a rainbow sticker on his toolbox, eyed them wary at first. "Harlan, you sure? City's got rules, but hearts break same as back home." Over beers at a dive called the Rusty Nail, Mick grilled. Ev was family. "This kid, he the real deal." Harlan's jaw ticked, pint midway to lips. "Realer than I've been in years." Patrick sat silent, pulse hammering, until Harlan slung an arm around him, declarative. "He's my deal." End of. Mick clapped his back, grin splitting. "Fair enough. Just don't fuck it up, old man." Laughter eased the knot, and soon Mick was dragging them to pride nights at local haunts, Harlan's initial stiffness melting into two-step shuffles on sticky floors, Patrick's hand in his a lifeline. Work anchored them. Patrick landed a gig with a nonprofit posters for a trans youth center, bold lines channeling his own coming-out fury. Late nights at his drafting table, Harlan brought tacos from the taqueria below, feeding him bites between kisses. "Artist," he'd tease, nipping Patrick's ear. "Starvin' for more than carnitas." Harlan thrived at the shop, diagnosing foreign sedans with the precision of a surgeon, his stories of rich pricks with beamers drawing laughs from the crew. But evenings unearthed shadows. A call from Jake, voice tentative. "Dad? Mom's adjusting. Therapy. Says hi." Harlan's face crumpled after hanging up, dialing Evelyn direct, awkward chats evolving to shared recipes, then cautious forgiveness. "She's datin' a realtor," he told Patrick one night, over stir-fry. "Good for her. Means I can stop feelin' like the villain." "You're not," Patrick insisted, straddling his lap, hands framing stubbled cheeks. "You're human. We both are." The lovemaking that followed was worshipful, Harlan on his knees, reverent, Patrick's cries echoing off beams, a symphony of absolution. Yet betrayal's echo lingered, manifesting in Harlan's jealousy. At a gallery opening, Patrick's designs exhibited, champagne flutes clinking amid hipsters, a lithe curator, all cheekbones and flirt, leaned too close. "Your work's electric, Patrick." "Like you." Harlan, nursing a soda across the room, seated silent, jaw granite. Drive home was thick. "He touch you," Harlan growled, knuckles white on the wheel. Patrick bristled. "Jealous? After everything." "Not jealous, protective." Harlan pulled over on a side street, rain slicked, engine ticking cool. Lost too much to lose you to some pretty boy. You won't. Patrick unbuckled, climbing into his lap, the gear shift digging awkward. I'm here. Yours. Their kiss was fire, teeth and tongues, Harlan's hands bruising hips, Patrick's grinding down until release shuddered through them, fogging windows like secrets. Apologies came whispered. Sorry. Old habits. Possessin' what I fear losin'. Deeper wounds surfaced in therapy, Harlan's group for older queer vets, Patrick's individual sessions unpacking foster ghosts. One night, Harlan returned shattered, talked about Korea. The sergeant, first love, buried with him in Nam. Tears tracked grease-smudged cheeks, and Patrick held him on the fire escape, city lights blurring below. You loved fierce. That's strength, not shame. Their bond deepened in fragments. Weekend drives to Lake Michigan, Harlan skipping stones while Patrick sketched dunes. Cooking classes at a community center, Harlan's biscuits flakier than his defenses. A tattoo, matching waves on forearms, lighthouses entwined. Storms weathered, Harlan toasted, needle buzzing. Crisis crested in December, snow blanketing the loop like forgotten promises. Jake arrived unannounced, tall, like Harlan, with Evelyn's sharp eyes, bags under them from cross-country flights. Mom sent me to check. The loft felt small, air charged as Harlan hugged stiff, Patrick hovering. Over pizza, deep dish, greasy redemption, Jake probed. This real, Dad? Or rebound shit? Harlan's fork paused. Real as your ma and me was, once. Different, but true. He glanced at Patrick. I soft. He saved me. From myself. Jake's gaze shifted, praising. Heard the story from Mom's side. Sounds messy. Messy life's honest, Patrick interjected, voice steady. We own it. Silence stretched. Then Jake nodded. Slow. Fair. Just don't hurt him, Dad. He's got that look, like he breaks easy. Harlan's laugh was wet. Won't. Swear it. Jake stayed 3 days, awkward chess games, bar crawls where he grilled Patrick on intentions. Departure brought a gruff. Take care of the old man. From Evelyn. Later, Jake says you're good. Be happy. Spring thawed scars. Patrick's exhibit sold out. Harlan beaming front row. Fist bump proud. They adopted a mutt. Raccoon-scarred stray. Fittingly from a shelter. Naming him Remy. Walks in Grant Park became rituals. Harlan's arm around Patrick's waist. Unapologetic. But romance wove human threads. Arguments over dishes. Harlan's snoring. Patrick's late nights. One blowout, Harlan accusing overwork. Patrick snapping back. Provide for us. Ended in slammed doors. Harlan crashing at Mick's. Dawn reconciliation on the stoop. Can't without you, Harlan admitted, knees bruised from begging. Sames? Patrick pulled him up, sealing with salt-lipped kisses. Summer solstice. They hosted a barbecue on the roof. Queer neighbors. Mick's crew. Jake video calling with Evelyn's wave. Harlan grilled brats. Sweat sheened. Patrick's playlist thumping indie folk. As dusk fell, fireflies winking like stars fallen low, Harlan pulled Patrick aside. Ring box from his pocket, simple silver. Engraved waves. Not marriage yet. But commitment. You in. Tears pricked Patrick's eyes. Nodding fierce. All in. Cheers erupted. Hugs and toasts. The city a chorus. Later, alone on the fire escape, Harlan's head on Patrick's lap, they watched lightning flicker distant. Unexpected turn, Harlan murmured. Best damn detour. Patrick smiled, fingers carding hair. Human as hell. And ours. Autumn gilded Chicago's edges, turning the Chicago River into a ribbon of amber as leaves pirouette from Millennium Park's trees. A year in the city had sanded their raw beginnings smooth. Harlan's garage overalls now sported a pride patch sewn by Patrick, who juggled client deadlines from a corner office overlooking the L tracks. Their loft, once echoey with ghosts, brimmed. Bookshelves groaning under Harlan's war memoirs and Patrick's art tomes. Remy's chewed toys scattered like confetti from a life unpacked. Yet humanity's underbelly stirred. Evelyn's visits, tentative brunches at Walker Brothers, Pancake's drowning grudges, evolved to family holidays. Jake's fiancée quizzing Patrick on how you snagged dad. Laughter bridged chasms. But Harlan's eyes shadowed after, feels like borrowing time. What if it crumbles? Won't? Patrick vowed, sealing with rooftop stargazing. Harlan's telescope trained on Orion's belt, a constellation of constancy. Work's grind-tested resolve. Patrick's big break, a campaign for a national queer advocacy group, meant travel. New York pitches, LA shoots. Harlan masked worry with gruff, knock 'em dead. But texts piled. Remy misses you. Me too. Homecomings were infernos, airport reunions dissolving into bed marathons, Harlan's hands relearning curves, growls of mine punctuating gasps. Betrayal's specter resurfaced subtly. At a VFW reunion, Harlan's old squad, grizzled vets swapping shrapnel scars. A former bunkmate, Tommy, clapped Harlan's back too long, slurring, "Remember Inchon? You and me. Foxhole promises. Whiskey loose." Tommy cornered Patrick later. "He tell you 'bout us? Broke my heart when he shipped home to skirts." Patrick's gut iced, but he nodded cool. "He told me enough. We're past it." Tommy's laugh was smoke. Past? Harlan don't let go easy. Seeds of doubt sprouted. Patrick replaying Harlan's hesitations, the way his gaze drifted in crowds. Confrontation brewed over Thanksgiving. Evelyn hosting in her new condo, neutral ground. Turkey carved, wines flowing. Jake's toast rang, to Sakan's chances. But post-dinner, Harlan vanished to the balcony, cigarette glowing. Patrick found him staring at the lake, face-etched. "Tommy call," Patrick ventured, door clicking shut. Harlan startled, stamping the butt. "Nah. Just old shit surfacin'." "He corner you?" "Yeah." Patrick leaned on rail, wind whipping. "Said you broke hearts. Mine included. If you bail." Harlan whirled, eyes storm dark. "Bail? Christ." Pat, after all this, hands gripped the rail, knuckles bone white. Tommy was youth stolen moments. "You? Your life. Then act it." Patrick's voice cracked, vulnerability spilling. "No more ghosts. Us or not." Harlan pulled him close, foreheads touching, breaths misting. "Us. Always." The kiss was salt and surety, hands wandering under coats. But Evelyn's call interrupted. "Desserts. Boys." Re-entry was awkward, flushed cheeks. Jake's arched brow. But laughter reclaimed the room. Pie slices sealing truces. Winter clamped iron. Blizzards burying the city in white silence. Harlan's knee, Old shrapnel souvenir. Flared, hobbling him to the couch. Patrick played nurse, heating pads, bad sitcoms, massages turning sensual. Harlan's moans a bomb. Spoilin' me rotten, he'd rumble, pulling Patrick atop. Slow grinds building to quakes. But isolation festered. News hit. Mixed diagnosis. Prostate cancer. Aggressive. The garage faltered. Harlan covering shifts. Exhaustion carving hollows under his eyes. Gotta be strong, he'd mutter. But Patrick saw the fray. Skipped meals. Bourbon bottles hidden. Crisis peaked in February's freeze. Mick collapsed mid-oil change. Harlan catching him. Ambulance wail piercing the shop. Hospital vigils blurred. Beeping monitors. Coffee sludge. Harlan's hand vice-tight in Patrick's. Can't lose him. First real friend who didn't judge. You won't, Patrick soothed, though fear clawed. Mick stabilized. Chemo looming, but the scare cracked Harlan open. He shattered. What if it's me next? Leave you widowed at 30. Patrick held him through sobs. Rocking. Then we fight. Together. No ifs. Spring's thaw mirrored renewal. Mick rallied. Garage a hub of fundraisers. Patrick's posters rallying donations. Harlan organizing car washes. Pride Month exploded in color. Rainbow floats down Halstead. Harlan marching arm in arm. Signs scrawled. Late bloomer. Proud dad. Jake and Evelyn cheered from sidelines. Family whole in fragments. Romance deepened in quiet. Anniversary picnic at the Bean. Harlan's playlist. Springsteen anthems. Serenading sandwiches. 1 year, he toasted, pulling a velvet box. Matching pendants. Wave-etched silver. Eternal detour. Patrick's gift. A custom sketch. Them as lighthouses. Beams entwining. Guiding home. Summer scorched. Heat waves warping asphalt. Patrick's career crested. Award for the advocacy campaign. Gala glitz in the loop. Harlan scrubbed up in a button-down. Awkward but dashing. Whispering filth in Patrick's ear amid speeches. After-party blurred to loft haze. Bodies slick. Harlan's proud gasped against skin. But humanity's curveball. Evelyn's health scare. Gallstones. Surgery routine but rattling. Harlan flew solo to Cleveland. Patrick buried in deadlines. Calls were terse. She's fine. Miss you. Distance bred insecurity. Patrick spotting flirty DMs from a client. Deleting hasty. Harlan's return sparked flare. Who was that text? Late night brainstorm? Patrick recoiled. Jealous again? Trust me. Trust? After Tommy's bullshit. Harlan paced. Voice rising. You're young. Hot, city full of options. Fuck you. Patrick shoved him. Tears hot. I'm not your regret factory. Door slammed. Patrick fleeing to Mick's couch. Night a blur of what-ifs. Dawn texts. Sorry. Scared. Come home. Patrick returned. Finding Harlan on knees. Eyes red. Lost Ev. Almost Mick. Can't lose you. Forgive. Always. Patrick pulled him up. Kiss healing. Talk. No walls. Therapy doubled. Couple sessions unpacking fears. Harlan admitting. Afraid I'm too old. Too broke for forever. You're enough, Patrick countered. We are. Fall wove closure. Mick's remission party. Backyard bash in Pilsen. Lantern swaying. Drew kin. Jake proposing to his girl mid-toast. Evelyn dancing with Harlan. Tentative twirl. "She's happy for us," she whispered to Patrick later, hugging tight. Took time. But love's love. Winter's hush brought decision. Wedding plans. Small city hall. Rooftop reception. Vows exchanged under mistletoe. Harlan's "I choose you." Every turn. Patrick's lighthouses together. Honeymoon in Key West. Beaches bomb. Harlan's snorkel awe childlike. Patrick's sketches capturing salt-crusted smiles. Nights tangled in hammocks. Waves lulling. Harlan's "love you" a mantra. Back in Chicago. Life layered. Patrick's book deal on queer design. Harlan's mentorship for vet apprentices. Remy puppied a litter half adopted to the center. Family swelled. Jake's wedding. Toasts to found families. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Conflicts to growth. One eve. Snow falling soft. Harlan pulled Patrick to the window. Arms encircling. Unexpected. Huh? From Ohio shotgun to this. Patrick leaned back. Content. Best plot twist. Human. Heartfelt hours. And in that glow, they stood. Horizons vast. Love's road unending.